Why, hello everybody. This is Classical Homesteading Practices, and today we're going to be doing Introduction to Ducks. So, like with Introduction to Chickens, this is going to be the beginning basics of what you need to do in order to have ducks on your homestead. The biggest thing that you need to realize when you have ducks is that these little guys are going to be messy, a little bit louder than chickens, but a lot hardier than chickens. You're going to be using them for a little bit different of a means. Their eggs are a lot richer. They have a little bit more fat and sometimes a little bit more meat than chickens do, and they are very rich and gamey compared to chickens when it comes to meat. This can be a wonderful thing for people who love the taste of duck, or it can deter you from having ducks in the first place. Though, when it comes to eggs in particular, they are definitely highly coveted, either because people are allergic and can't have chicken eggs, so they resort to duck eggs, or because they have found out that duck eggs are the best eggs to use in baking because of how rich and thick and creamy they are, and just how well that they work for raising cakes and making delicious confections. Alright, let's get into the beginning. And of course, that is infrastructure. So the structures that you need to build in order to have ducks are very similar to a chicken run. You are going to need a basic box where an individual duck is going to need 3 square feet in order to live happy and healthily. But the biggest difference between a chicken house and a duck house is that you are going to need to make sure that it is low to the ground, or the slant of the staircase is a lot lower, because ducks really don't like high places. They are very comfortable with putting themselves on the ground, leaving themselves outside, because they make their homes in the wild on the ground near nests, near ponds, and bodies of water, because they are waterfowl. Now, having that be a fact, you are also going to need a water reservoir of some sort, whether it be a water bath, which can be a giant water dish, a tub of water, a kiddie pool, or a body of water near you that you can either make yourself or that is already on your land. I personally have a 2-foot in diameter Rubbermaid tub that I fill with water for my ducklings, and they love it and they splash around it and have a really fun time. Another thing that you need to make sure of is just having, again, bird netting for any kind of predator, hawk, eagle, any kind of bird that is going to try and snatch up ducks. Usually you're going to have a problem with eagles and owls, mainly owls, because ducks are really good at staying out at night, and it is a very big thing to forget your ducks outside because they will not go inside sometimes, and they have really good night vision. And so if it's raining or if they see bugs, they will go out and they will chase them around, and an owl will see them because they are nocturnal animals. They will scoop the duck up and they will take it away, and you will no longer have a duck. So make sure that you have bird netting so owls and other large hunting birds do not get your ducks. Make sure that you have a fenced-in area for them. The outdoor area should be at least a 5 square foot area per duck. I would recommend going up to 10 square feet per duck, especially because they are very messy creatures, and having a place that is large enough for them to have water and pellets far enough away from each other that they do not splash into the food bowl is a pretty nice thing to have on hand. So just make sure that their run is large enough that there is room for the water basin, a clean place for them to be away from the water basin, and of course their food. And then, like I stated before, make sure that there's at least 3 square feet per duck on the inside of their coop. Alright, now that we've talked about infrastructure and that's all taken care of, let's talk about the supplies that you're going to need. Again, like chickens, you're going to be in need of a brooding, heating area so they are nice and toasty until they get big enough for their fowl feathers to come in, their adult feathers to come in. You are going to need newspaper or straw, because if you use shredded wood or any kind of shredded anything, it will get very messy very quickly, because again, you're going to have water for them in there and they're going to spread that water out everywhere. No matter if it's in a tiny container or if it's in a chick waterer, they're going to find a way to make that water go everywhere. And it's just how waterfowl are. The other thing you're going to need is, of course, a feeder and a waterer. You're going to need some little chick grit for your ducks, and you're going to need a place for them to, of course, do a water bath. And usually that's going to be something that you do outdoors. They're going to... Now, while a water bath is messy, putting it outside is going to be very helpful for you until winter hits, and then you will need to take the water bath away from them, or you're going to have to figure out a different way for them to have a water bath, because doing it inside their coop will make it so it becomes very messy, very wet. It can lead to being mildewy, or at the worst become very icy inside their coop, because sometimes during the wintertime there are people who are not going to be able to have heat, and it will not be above 32 degrees, which is fine. Ducks are able to take on massively cold weather. I'm talking about negative 30 degrees, and ducks are totally fine. But to make them as comfortable as possible, you do need to make sure that they are dry and they have shelter so they can stay out of the wind and other predators cannot get them. So make sure that when winter does come around, do not make a water bath easily accessible to them, if at all, just so that they stay warm and dry as best as possible. So with all that supplies out of the way, now we can get into ducks. There are as many different duck types as there are chicken types, which is fantastic for you because you get to decide which ones are best suited for you. Now, most ducks lay green eggs, which is a very interesting and very beautiful pale green color. There are also brown and white and pale pink that I have seen. But for the ones that I have, they have laid a light green. I have what is called a Swiss blue because there is a blue patch on the neck and the rest of her feathers are black. And just to give you precedent, one is named Pepper and the other one is Omelette. Yes, they are food names because we do a food style at our home on our homestead. So Omelette is my blue Swiss and Pepper is an Indian runner, which is a beautiful, heavy set, heavy breeding duck. So she is going to be a heavy breeder and a heavy egg layer because of the kind of duck that she is, which means I'll probably be ranging around 300 to 350 eggs just from Pepper alone. And then Omelette, my blue Swiss, is probably going to be giving me about 300 eggs. Now, right now, my ducks are 4 weeks old. They just hit the month mark this Thursday. And it will take them 3 more months before they start getting ramped up and start laying eggs. Ducks are different from chickens, where their laying season can and usually will be a little bit longer naturally. So they do not necessarily need 10 hours of daylight in order to lay eggs, especially when they are very new. They will lay eggs whether you like it or not sometimes. As long as it's a warm, safe place for them to nest, they are ripped and ready to go. One thing about ducks that you do need to understand is that they are very sassy. They can be very big bullies, and they're very territorial, which is the reason why they're bullies. So if you have ducks and chickens together in the same place, you don't ever really need to worry about the rooster being the bully. You need to worry about the duck being the bully. They are, again, very messy, so if you keep your chickens and your ducks together, you need to be prepared for their coop to get very messy, and you need to be aware of how the ducks are going to make the chicken water filthy and gross if it is a dog water dish or any kind of bowl on the ground. Another thing to be aware of with ducks is that they are territorial, like I said. So as long as you have your babies when they're really young and you get to know them and you handle them properly and a lot, they're good for you. But when other people come around and other animals come around, they will chase them off, or they will attempt to at least. For my 2 girls, I do not know what their temperaments are. Pepper, our Indian runner, is definitely more skittish, and then Omelette will let me pick her up. I've handled her a lot more because she is more docile, and at this moment we do not have any chickens for them to pick on, so we do not know if it's going to be a problem until we have our chicks, which are going to be coming in about the next 10 days, which we are really excited for. But more on that in a little while. So, back to ducks. So, read up on your duck breeds. There are so many different kinds to talk about. The biggest things to learn is that if you want high egg production, get a meteor bird. Look at Indian runners. They are fantastic breeders. They are fantastic meat and egg layers. But if you want a duck that is more docile, definitely go for something like a blue neck Swiss. They are fantastic from what I have gathered so far. Again, this is my first time dealing with them. I usually deal with regular mallards, and while they are a very docile breed, they're also a very, what is the proper term? They are a breed of duck that is very untrustworthy. They're very shy, and it takes a lot of time and handling in order to get them to your side. They will imprint on you if you make them a pet. They will last for 20 plus years if you make them a pet, but if you're doing it specifically just for production, butchering them at 6 weeks to no, I'm sorry, not 6 weeks. Butchering them at 6 months is the most opportune time, and keeping them for 2 years for production, 3 years at the most, will be the most opportune time for egg production. You will need to exchange your ducks out every 3 to 5 years if you have them running through full season. But if you let them have a regular cycle, which means letting them molt during the winter time and letting them stop laying during the winter time, they can last you up to 10 years before you truly need to cycle them out. All right. So that is your basic knowledge that you need for your ducks. I would say definitely do your research when it comes to picking and choosing them out. I hope this knowledge that I've shared with you today helps you in your endeavor in choosing ducks, and I will talk to you on the next time. Please leave me a voice message to see what you would like to learn about here, and I will do my best to give you an answer, and I hope to hear from you soon. This is the Classical Homesteading Practice. Have a great day, guys.